Your low-step tricycle will arrive in one box, and we will show you the steps into setting it up and getting you ready to ride. Your low-step bicycle will arrive in one package, and we will now show you how to assemble the bike. It will arrive carefully packaged. This is the low-step tricycle after the packaging material has been removed. Now we will start the assembly process. Your first step is assembling the front fender. Remove the nut and the washer, leaving the spacer hooked to the fork. Slide the bracket from the front fork on and tighten the nut back on. After the fender is complete, the front wheel is the next assembly part. Slide the axle in the slots, lining up the locking washers with the hole on the fork. Put the fender bracket over top and the spacer and tighten the nut. Repeat this for the other side. Next, we're going to insert the handlebars and stem. Please note the minimum insertion marks on the stem and make sure your stem is inserted at least that far into the bicycle frame. Tighten with an Allen wrench. The seat pole is the next part assembled. Slide it in there, again to the minimum insertion marks at least. Fold over the quick release lever and then mount the seat using a 14mm wrench. Install the chain guard as the next step with the 3 bolts that are supplied on the bicycle. Pedal assembly is next. Note that there is an R on the right pedal and an L on the left pedal. The R will thread into the crank arm standard clockwise. The left pedal will thread in a counterclockwise. The chain assembly is the next step, wrapping it around the front crankset. You can tighten the 2 pieces of chain together using a pair of pliers or a chain tool if you own one. Wrapping the chain around the back, around the front, and finally making sure you get it through the pulley wheel assembly. This will be used for final chain adjustment when you're finished. Next, we secure the rear end of the frame, taking all the slack out of the chain using a 17mm or an adjustable wrench to tighten all 4 bolts. Then the pulley wheel will be used to take up the final amount of slack with one simple adjustment. Your wheels are the next assembled part. Take careful notice. On the right side of the bike is a splined insert in one of the hubs. It will go on the axle with the splines. The spacer on the end may need to be pressed in and then bolted together. The other side of the bike will have 2 sealed bearings inside its hub. When you slip it on the axle, make sure the spacer is on first, followed by the wheel, then the washers, and the final locking nut. Our next step will be installing the 3-speed shifter. Take the cable from the shifting handle and thread it through the cable housing. There is also some front brake cable housing. Make sure you choose the cable housing that goes to the back of the bike. Once the cable comes out of the housing at the rear of the trike, insert the cable through the plastic safety cover. Then insert the cable in through the bike, pulling the cable through the chain tensioner from the 3-speed unit. There is a small hole on the locking bolt. After you thread it through, pull the cable as tightly as possible and latch down the bolt. The next process is the rear fender assembly. 2 bolts on the front bracket, 1 bolt on the rear bracket. Tighten them down, and occasionally the brackets will need to be bent by hand to clear the tire evenly. The assembled basket is then mounted to the bicycle using the 4 Allen bolts, centering the basket on the frame and securing. Your low-step tricycle can also be used as a flatbed trike by simply taking off the 4 sides of your basket. Assembly starts with the ball of the cable threading through the handle of the lever and through the adjustment barrel. Follow it down and reconnect the bracket. Tighten down your cable, pulling up most of the slack. From True Bicycles is now assembled and ready for you to enjoy.